All right, welcome everyone. I am Dr. Jimenez or Dr. J. I am the instructor for Introduction to Educational Technology, also known as EDTC 623. And this presentation is specifically a brief overview of the syllabus. Now, please note, I am not going to cover every aspect of the syllabus. I'm just simply going to highlight some of the key things that you need to know about this class. But as soon as this video is over, it is strongly recommended that you go into Blackboard to the syllabus section of our course and click on the syllabus link so that you can read the syllabus in its entirety. But this video serves as a highlighted version of what I'm going to cover. But again, you're responsible for reading and understanding all of the syllabus immediately after this presentation. So please go ahead and do so when you have a moment. But in the meantime, a couple of things to note. First and foremost, this course is the Introduction to Educational Technology. And what we're going to be doing over the course of the next 15 weeks is talking a little bit about what is educational technology, how educational technology historically has been around for a very, very long time. It's not a new creation or a recent creation. More importantly, we're going to understand the different ways that educational technology is supporting learning today, whether it's in K through 12, corporate environments, nonprofit, government agencies, aerospace, and the military. Doesn't make a difference. Educational technology is everywhere. And therefore, it's important for us as educational technologists, as educators, and overall lifelong learners, it's important for us to understand what kinds of tools are out there. We're not going to cover every single possible tool that's out there because that's impossible for us to cover. But we're going to cover the gamut of the different types of tools and resources that you can use to introduce into your classroom and show you not only how to use them in many cases, but in the ways that you can implement them using grounded research and the body of knowledge that's out there through peer-reviewed journals, through some of the different associations that are out there, such as the AECT, to name a few, or to work with, or even some of the research that's been put together by other organizations such as CITE and various numerous educational entities in our space. So with that, we're going to talk a little bit about the history of educational technology. We'll get into a variety of different topics, which I'll point out in a minute. But first and foremost, as a reminder, this is an online course. It's meant to be asynchronous, it's asynchronous. It's an asynchronous course, which means you can log in anytime you want during the week and complete your assignments. Having said that, this course, or in all of my courses, I offer you the opportunity to interact with me live through Zoom, and that is through these live webinars. Typically, I offer 3 optional live webinars, and this is during the semester, where we will cover the different key projects in this course. It's an opportunity for you to not only interact with me, but to interact with your colleagues in a live session. But despite that, you still will be interacting with me and your colleague throughout the semester through our discussion board threads and other activities that we'll be involved in. So, in addition to that, just as a friendly reminder, if you need to reach me, my email is right here on the syllabus. More importantly, I will simply note the fact that if you need to meet with me, just send me an email. I'll be glad to set up a Zoom call or Google Meet or whatever kind of call we need to set up so we can chat. I'm usually available after 5 p.m. on most days, also available on the weekend for those of you that may not have the time to meet during the week if you have any questions. But my point is, if you have a question, reach out to me, let me know, and we'll go from there. Now, a couple things I do want to highlight about this. In addition to the fact this is an online course and the fact that we will have at least 3 live webinars, optional webinars, that will be available to you, I do want to highlight the fact that there is no textbook for this course. I'm going to repeat that one more time. There is no textbook for this course. So the good news is you don't have to buy a textbook. What that means, though, is that every single week I'll be providing you with a variety of different articles. And this includes peer-reviewed journal articles, sometimes blog entries, as well as videos and other media that focus on the topics that we will be covering. And more importantly, just as a reminder, the week starts on Monday and ends on Sunday at 11:59 p.m. So every Monday, you will be receiving a notification from me telling you what the latest and greatest activities are for the week. So every Monday, whether you get an email from me or you go into the announcement section in our Blackboard site, always look there because it'll tell you exactly what's going on. Another way that you could also figure out what's going on every week is that in the content folder, there's going to be weekly content folders. So there's currently a week 1 folder. Next week, there'll be a week 2 folder, then a week 3 folder, and a week 4 folder, and so forth, so that every week you know exactly what to do. So there's never a question about that. In addition to that, I will, jumping ahead of myself here, I will also be posting weekly video intros. By the way, all of my videos that I post and make available to you are not optional. They are all required videos, including my weekly introductions. The weekly introductions serve as a way for me to not only tell you what you have to do this week, but more importantly, it's an opportunity for me to also inform you of any changes, updates, any other recommendations or best practices, or any kind of interventions that I need to make that I might be seeing in the discussion boards or other activities. So watch my weekly videos, but pretty much when you look at the syllabus, we're going to be building upon a variety of topics. In week 1, we're going to get into simply just getting to know each other and using Flipgrid to record some video introductions for each other. We'll also have an opportunity for you to share your thoughts on Flipgrid during week 1. Week 2, we'll get into the foundations and brief history of educational technology, and we'll actually define the term educational technology and what it means to us as educators, regardless of whatever role you're in academia, the corporate world, nonprofits, etc. In weeks 3 and 4, we will talk about learning standards, because we can have all the tools we want in the world, but all of these tools are grounded and should be grounded in terms of structured, sound designs, right? And these designs come from the standards that have been researched and put together by experts in our field. This includes the ISTE standards, as well as the 21st century skill standards, and we'll talk about how these standards link to the usage and introduction of educational technologies in your learning environments. And when I say learning environments, because not everyone that takes these courses is a teacher. Some of you are administrators, some of you might be media library specialists, some of you might even be folks who engage in a variety of different learning interactions in other environments, whether it's after school programs, whether it's in corporate, nonprofit, and so on. The point is, your learning environment, regardless of whatever your learning environment is, has, well, there's standards that everything is grounded in, and we're going to talk about those standards in week 3 and 4. Week 5 is when you have your first project due, which we based on the standards. We'll talk more about that during week 2 and 3. I set up a optional webinar to review project 1. Then in week 6 and 7, we'll start getting into some learning theories at a very high level so that you understand. So there's the standards, and then there's the supporting learning theories that inform our design choices. And the standards with the learning theory will definitely help us to make sound decisions in terms of why we are implementing not only the technology, but the activities within the technology itself. That leads us to a great opportunity in week 7 to actually go through a web quest / scavenger hunt, or an online scavenger hunt, which we will be going through one together, asynchronously, of course. Using the Goose Hunt application, this will be a great opportunity, one, to get to know your colleagues and peers further, but more importantly, for you to see how you can actually implement a scavenger hunt in an online environment, which I think is a great way to break down barriers, build community, and more importantly, to engage your students in a kind of discovery learning that could be easily implemented in your learning spaces. So something to consider. In addition to that, we'll start getting into in weeks 8, 9, and 10. How do you use educational video? And it sounds so simple, right? Point and click, right? There's so much more to it. And we're going to talk a little bit about that and what the research says about the use of educational video in our learning spaces. We'll talk about making things. What does the literature say about maker spaces and 3D printing? And finally, we'll talk about the Internet of Things and coding. How are these different items supporting learning and 21st century skills? That leads us to our second project during week 11, where we will actually create a class wiki. Yes, you heard that right, a wiki. Just because the technology is old, quote unquote, it was created a couple of years ago, doesn't mean that it's no longer relevant. Sometimes the simplest technologies are the ones that work best. It doesn't always have to be all flashy bells and whistles. So with that, keep in mind that in week 11, project 2, you will be creating a class wiki where you will be reviewing different applications. You'll choose the application you want to review and provide your perspective and research on why this application is good for education. So it's a good opportunity for you to also create a library through this wiki. We'll have a library of apps that you can take with you as part of your toolbox and or future research. From there, in weeks 12 and 13 and 14, we'll start getting into the integration of technology using models such as SAMR and TPAC. We'll talk about how the ed tech space actually is in existence outside of K through 12, how there's educational technology being used in corporate, government, medical, military, and a variety of different industries. And finally, we'll get into the ethics, I would say the digital divide issues, plagiarism, equity, and access that exists when it comes to educational technology. And we'll see these problems emerge across the semester, but more importantly, we'll talk about it in a grounded way in week 14. Finally, that leads us to our final week of class, which is week 15, where we will then give you the opportunity to not only post your final course reflections on our discussion boards, but also hand in your final project, which will be a group project. You'll have the opportunity to work with your peers and colleagues in the class and submit a presentation at the end. So there's quite a bit of content that we'll be covering, but useful content you'll be able to take back with you to your respective classrooms. I'm not going to get into the assignments right now, but all I would say is read through the assignment section. It tells you a little bit about what each assignment is about, as well as the fact that there's going to be a live optional webinar associated to it. I do want to highlight the point that each of the projects is worth a good chunk of points. For example, project 1 is worth 20 points. Projects 2 and 3 are worth 30 points. So when you look at the overall grading for the course, your 3 projects pretty much make up 80% of your overall grade, but 20% of your overall grade is also based on your discussion boards. So the discussion boards become a very important component. So please make sure that you are actively involved in your discussion boards and that you're keeping up with your discussion board. It's very easy to fall behind. And believe me, it's sometimes those discussion boards, when people leave things out, it can make the difference between an A and an A minus, or an A minus and a B, or, you know, you get the point, right? Please make sure you read the academic integrity policy. All I will say is this: plagiarism in any form will not be tolerated. You must make sure that you are the one who's creating your work, and you have to use proper citation when necessary. And we'll be talking about that in week 2, getting you familiar with APA, because you'll also be using in your discussion boards. But again, if you don't know APA, don't worry about it. You're going to learn about it in this course. I don't expect you to be perfect with it. I expect you to be informed and use it as you go through your posts and discussions. But I am going to hold you to getting acclimated and start using APA starting, I believe, in weeks 3 and 4, but we'll talk more about that as the course progresses. I've also put some rubrics and some guidelines around discussion boards. Please watch my video, my separate video on the minimum number of posts required per week. That'll answer many of your questions. You can also read it here as well. And finally, look, if you have any questions, email me, contact me, please reach out to me. But more importantly, go back and read the syllabus. The syllabus is your guide. The syllabus is our, I would say, our roadmap for this course. So I want you to make sure that everyone is understanding the fact that this is just a high-level overview, but I want you to go back, read the syllabus, make sure you understand. If you have any questions, email me, let me know. But with that, if you have any questions, feel free to contact me. There's no such thing as a stupid question as far as I'm concerned. So if you have a question, if something's confusing to you in general, whether it's the syllabus or any time in class, email me, let me know. I'll be glad to answer your questions. And with that, that's it for now, folks. Go back, continue your week 1 work, and I'll talk to you soon. Enjoy the rest of your day, everyone. Take care.